What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Yo, what's poppin', all my peeps? It is I, your host with the most, Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and your champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, welcoming you back to my house for another edition of the house show. Yes, we are back. We went on a little vacation last week. Family came into town. The Hollywood Pittses came to the East Coast. Great time with family. You know, that was just, it's moments like that I don't get to have often with my brother living in California, has since I was in third grade, and his family, and then my brother who lives here and his family, their two children each, and my mother and father. It's nice, you know, so yeah, that ruled last weekend. And there was a lot of shows, you know, with Saturday night's main event that I got to talk about, and Limitless. I did not end up going to Limitless because family was in town. So we will be making it to the Vacation Land Cup. I will be there. So yeah, that's breaking news. I'm going to find a way there. And yeah, so Saturday night's main event. Then we got what happened this week. But we're missing somebody. That's right. KB is not here again this week. He's spending time with family. You know, family's a big thing here in the house show. I mean, families live in houses and then they make it homes. So, you know, family's a big theme here on the show. So he's spending time with his fam. He did not stop by the house last week because he's not as knowledgeable as the champ. No, he is not. Does he have two title belts up there? No, he doesn't. He doesn't have two title belts behind him in his shenanigans shack. So he didn't stop by, but I'm back this week. Captain Nonsense is here and ready to talk wrestling because I have not been able to, and a lot of shit's been going down that I do want to talk about, including AEW Redemption. That happens this Sunday. I'll give my predictions. The wrestling that went on both in WWE and in AEW and TNA. Obviously, I got TNA on as we record this right now. But the biggest, best thing I saw in wrestling this week was actually Dark Side of the Ring. You know, between the TNA episode and then Samoa Joe, Necro Butcher this week. I need to get that off my chest. All right. I want to talk about those things. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. And then obviously predictions, and I may or may not talk about the Nonsense Wrestling Federation that Sarah and I, captain over there at No Nights Off, just left the Yard of Streams from recording there. So yeah, it's going to be a fun show. And if you want to be part of the show, ask me anything because I need to hear from you. That's the whole point of this show, is that we get voicemails from the peeps and then I get my thoughts, because you could ask me anything. Kyle has tested me on this show about my knowledge. And I mean, what was it? I think it was a ChatGPT random generated quiz that popped up and getting 23 out of 25. Questions ranging from what is the flagship show of WWE to who was the Iron Sheik's opponent at this, like the range was right there. So, and I got 23 out of 25. I'm not complaining. So test my knowledge. Ask me anything. Tell me your thoughts. Speakpipe.com/official house show to leave your comments. Just give your name and do it, because if not, I'm going to start talking about indie wrestling and we're not going to talk about WWE because we might not. I just, After what I've seen, I much rather talk about other promotions on this show. Give more time to them, because what's going on is pretty tough as you head to your WrestleMania of the summer, PLE. It's tough. It really is tough. But yeah, I think we should start there. I think we should start from the top and work our way down, because as WWE is at the top, it's not really giving me the top product right now. It's not my favorite by any means out of the big named wrestling promotions. Like and I'll start with Saturday's main event. Let's start there, because that was a perfect example of why I'm going to go watch All Elite Wrestling. It's a reason why I'm going to go and be more invested in TNA wrestling right now, or even come up with my own wrestling promotion via WWE 2K. There was too many. It felt like a very insert celebrity here during every segment type show. I mean, over the top with the Nick stuff. And it was even Fightful reported that people within the company who operate on the day-to-day were not fans of the overusage of the Knicks. Starting with Cathausen. I did enjoy. I thought it was funny, great spot, perfect. And then you have Jalen Brunson come out for the main event of the show. And spoiler alert, I fell asleep as this was happening, and then went back and watched it when I woke up. But it's not it. I feel in this era we are forcing a lot of the celebrity involvement. I know celebrity involvement has been going on in WWE for years, but now more than ever feels like it's being shoved down our throats. The Pat McAfee jelly roll stuff heading into WrestleMania was the straw that broke the camel's back to a majority of wrestling fans. And they saved themselves a little bit with Lil Yachty and Trick Williams. But yeah, now like enough. It's like no. Like don't force it, especially with this. Yeah. I'm not a fan of it. But anyways, yeah, kind of lost my train of thought. But that's what happens when we're in the house by ourselves. We get a little bit of a royal we're going to get a royal ramble of an episode today. So Saturday's main event, those two things went down, and then like the Seth and Roman stuff was okay. Besides that, it was just okay. Like cool, they're continuing the build up to SummerSlam, build on the history, all that stuff. I didn't, and the most exciting part of Saturday's main event was probably Fatal Influence winning the tag team championship. I thought that was great. You need to put the belts on them because there's a lot more versatility on how they can be defended. They can defend them on SmackDown and take on the two teams that are in the back. You can go over to Raw and take on their team. The point is there's no depth. And with young talent like that, they can go anywhere, basically. Maybe this is the opportunity where we bring someone from SmackDown to TNA. It's ideas like that would actually keep it relevant and people are interested. Before with Paige and Brie Bella, you didn't really care that they were the women's tag team champions. I didn't care. It was just nice to see them having gold while they recorded their podcasts. Honestly, like it was not my favorite thing. When you have Fatal Influence now, you're going to get me invested into the women's tag division. Because I feel like there's no one right now. Charlex has taken a break. Rhea and Io's competing for Io's fighting for the women's world title while Rhea's on the shelf having to vacate her title. And Bianca Belair is having a kid. So it's just a lot. There's not a lot of women in the back. It's not like NXT where they just have what seems like a bottomless pit of talent in every division. So, yeah, Roy, Lyra Bailey. I here's the thing. I love the Lyra one. I'm gonna segue into Bailey talk. So hold your horses. I like that Lyra won because I want to see more from this loony Lyra character that she's got going on. I want to see her go a little bit more manic. The different attire into the different music. The different music was perfect, and it plays into the character more. So I want to see more from her. Perfect for her winning and saying that she kicked Bailey out of WWE. I mean, great. That's smart. That's smart. Get the fans really talking. And have her go for the Intercontinental Championship again. Why not? Give Soul something to do. I haven't really seen her much on Raw. By the way, spoiler alert, there were no women's matches on Raw this week. There was one segment that involved women, and it involved Liv Morgan and Io Sky, the two women competing for the Women's World Championship at SummerSlam. So keep that in mind. I want to see something develop with Lyra and the Women's Intercontinental Championship. There's a lot of I want that. This character with the gold would be interesting to see develop. That's why I like it. And then that's really it. I don't really want to talk about Saturday night's main event at this point because so much has happened. Oh yeah, Nick Aldis cost Gunther and Sammy a fatal 4-way match at SummerSlam. So and then that eventually sets up Gunther and Aldis. Okay, so which is gonna rule. I was just talking to Sarah about that over in the Yard of Streams, and she's not as excited for it. I am, because the match is gonna rule. I'm not really concerned about where it's taking place. She said you could have it be on a Battleground, Backlash, what other, Money in the Bank. It doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Just have them on the show. And I want to see Nick Aldis compete in a WWE ring. I saw like the beginning of Magnus in TNA. That was when I was doing one of these, a little bit of that. We were riding the wave, and then we got like out and became the biggest Patriots fan imaginable. Biggest Boston sports fan imaginable, but tomato potato. I want to see Nick Aldis wrestle in WWE. Gunther is the perfect opponent for that. They are going to have a real, it's a European style, hard hitting fight in that ring. And I all signs are pointing to it being an Aldis retirement match, as Gunther retired John Cena. Before that, he retired Goldberg. After Cena, he retired AJ Styles. Could Aldis be the next man on the list? I would love that for Gunther. That would legitimize him. Retiring 4 superstars in a year and a half. That's some legendary shit. At that point, you have to put the belt on him, right? I would. I mean, the man just retired 4 legends. Legends in their own right. Why not? Just put the belt on him. Have him go on a tear. It doesn't need to be Roman Reigns-esque, but at least have it go to a Mania or something. Like, the dude's an animal, and he can work with anyone. He knows how to get the crowd riled up. He knows how to play the villain role. Why not? Send it. You're listening, Triple H? Send it. So yeah, that match is gonna happen. That's gonna rule. But yeah, before that we had Raw, and Raw was pretty shite. I'm not gonna lie, it stunk on ice because it was so mid. That's why. There was nothing specifically that went down that pissed me off. It was the show as a whole left me feeling pretty just like I didn't care. I left going being like underwhelmed. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Underwhelmed. I felt very underwhelmed after watching it because I'm just looking at my phone throughout the show, tweeting, looking at social media, watching, yada yada. And I looked up and I was like, oh, LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, okay. Great match. All right, and it's the final shot of them throwing up the ones. And then the credit bug comes up. Like, oh, that's the main event? Like, really? You didn't have any stars on the show? LA Knight and Jacob Fatu is main eventing. You had zero women wrestle. All this building up to your WrestleMania of the summer. Your big game. You could tell that WWE is feeling the injuries right now. They're feeling the injuries and they're scrambling. One injury in particular that kind of grinds my gears they didn't do something sooner is Rhea Ripley. Because now that you came up with a decision, 2.5 weeks out from the show, that you're going to crown an interim WWE Women's Champion, and it's going to be in a ladder match at SummerSlam. They'll be champion until Rhea can come back, and then they'll fight. I don't hate that storyline. I don't. If you can have two people that get me invested into it, cool. Then do the storyline. My issue is, why not just vacate the title? Just vacate it, move on. When she comes back, she'll be the first challenger. Understood. It's the fact that they waited so long. When you wait too long, you have less time to figure out a solution. And if they could have pulled the trigger sooner on vacating the title, coming up with a new an interim champion, I feel like a ladder match is forced. I would rather have a one-on-one match for the title, or a triple threat match, or a fatal four-way. Whatever, based on the winners from some tournament that you have during the shows, because then that helps with booking the shows. Then you just plant those matches in and book around it. But now the 6 women ladder match is going to rule. However, now as I'm rambling about it, I don't like that Tiffany Stratton's in it because she's the U.S. champ. It was reported going around online that the rumored match was supposed to be Tiffany Stratton versus Blake Monroe. Why do we have to not do that? Do that for the title. Tiffy's out, then put someone else in. Here's the problem. Who else are you going to put in? They don't really have a deep roster of mid-carders. I don't know where Chelsea Green is. I think she's hurt. Don't quote me on that, but I think she's dealing with something. So she's out. Alba Fire was released. Piper Niven's gone. She's injured. Excuse me, injured. Like, seriously. And then you have B-Fab and Meechin. Candice LeRae's tending to her planking husband, so she's tied up at the moment. There's not a lot of people, so you have to pivot into putting Tiffany Stratton in this match. Now do you put Blake Monroe in that match too? just because why not? Or do we draw the line there on if she's ready or not? But yeah, that really grinded my gears this week. I did not like that. Yeah, and then that was the main stuff. SmackDown happens tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. I am watching TNA right now because hashtag no nights off, and Zaya Brookside is costing Elena Black the match. I'm not watching with commentary, obviously, because then it would be just real distraction. But all I know is Zaya Brookside is standing tall with the women's title, so that's all. That's what I'm happy about. I was happy to see her win the championship at Slammiversary. She's been the one consistent member of the Knockouts division since I started rewatching TNA. Everyone else has left. Jordan Grace is gone. Deonna Purrazzo left. I mean, Masha Slamovich got into like legal trouble, so she's now blacklisted. Yeah, like who else would be there? Like, yeah, ODB's too old. She wouldn't have been there. So it's just like, yeah, like, whatever. Kind of lost my train of thought after that because that was a crazy way to end that match. I don't know why Zaya Brookside is still feuding with her. So, yeah, sweet. All right, so we covered our WWE for the week. NXT, oh, we didn't. Backtrack. We got to pivot back. There was something that happened on NXT this week that was crazy. That was unreal, I don't know if it was unreal as this hat from 47. Use our link in the code below to get one of your 47 hats, sweatshirts, shirts. They have it all. Just use our link in the description below. Great apparel. They got their summer wardrobe out. Looks fucking incredible. So go check that out. But yeah, Mike Santana debuted in WWE NXT this week at the end of the Tony D'Angelo title defense. He won. And then Mike Santana debuted. Music hits. And he walks out from the crowd. They did not mention his name on commentary. They did not. Smart. Got people asking, well, is he gonna have to change his name? What's he gonna go by? It's like, no, he's WWE canon. He appeared on WWE while he was Mike Santana in TNA. Like, the same thing happened with Joe Hendry. It's a partnership, so you're supposed to know who they are when they come over. They don't need to change the name. It's not like the olden days. Things are quite different. I'm excited to see him in NXT. I'm pretty sure last week or 2 weeks ago, I predicted that he would be way better off in NXT. Because right now, NXT has a lot of great talent, a lot of up and coming, the next generation of stars. Problem is that they don't have any really established stars yet. You have formerly known as Evil. His name's slipping me right now. I just know that he's Io Sky's husband. Naruku, I'm pretty sure his name is. He's in, he's a veteran, but Japan, Ricky Saints and Ethan Page both got called up. So there's no one really to be the spearhead. I can't think of a real veteran. Like Tony D'Angelo is the veteran of that group. Because, Mason Rook, my least favorite wrestler of all time, Cam Hendricks. Those are two, good heels for, the the division. However, you need a veteran star in there, and that's Mike Santana. So I'm pumped to see him. I can't wait to see him with the NXT Championship because I know that's definitely going to happen. I know for sure that is going to happen at some point. When? I'm not here to predict that. I'm not here to predict that. Yeah, NXT remains my favorite show to watch weekly. You just never know. Right now, it's a tie between NXT and AEW. Dynamite, I should specify. AEW Dynamite. Those two are my can't miss appointment viewing at the moment because we're on the road to All In, and I am obsessed with the Will Ospreay Death Riders. Now throw in Kenny Omega into the mix because he's going to be challenging him for the AEW World Championship. I'm so excited for this. I haven't felt this excited for a build probably since WrestleMania 40 when Cody Rhodes took down the Tribal Chief. I haven't been that as excited for storyline since. It's got my three favorite things: the Death Riders and Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, the greatest professional wrestler to ever walk God's green earth, and Will Ospreay, the coolest thing in wrestling, most passionate. I'm not gonna say the most. I'm not gonna be that controversial. One of the most passionate professional wrestlers out there. You put that all together, it writes itself. That's Hollywood, baby. And Pitts is no Hollywood. That's been great, and I liked this week on Dynamite when Will Ospreay when they were in the 6-man tag. Ospreay went for the hot tag, and he chose Kenny Omega instead of Jon Moxley. All right, I'd be kind of interested to see how that goes down next week. I want to see if there's any repercussions from that. And TNA is on right now. So that's a rundown of what is going on in wrestling this week, at least in the major promotions. Because TNA is on right now. SmackDown hasn't happened yet. And we got Redemption on Sunday, which we'll get to the predictions. But before we get to the predictions, I have to talk about what I love this week in wrestling. That's what the Royal Rumble is about. It's what I want to talk about. I have some topics that they're on my phone, they're in my head, and they're going to be said through this microphone. All right, so starting off with WWE Unreal. Everyone bashed this idea. They thought it was going to be stupid, expose the business. It's so bad, such a stupid idea. And I disagree. It is one of the better things that they have done in this Papa Paul Triple H era. They are giving the hardcore fans what they want, but not all of it. It's a little taste. And the business has changed so much since I was a kid, where you didn't talk about it back then. It was very, you knew it was scripted. I'm not gonna say the F word. You knew it was scripted, but you didn't know to what extent. And when you saw a wrestler out in public, they would be in character because kayfabe. But now with social media and how the world is the world now, there's a gray area. You have wrestlers taking photos with fans, and that wrestler is a chicken shit heel. But then you also have Seth Rollins faking an injury for the entire world just for a Money in the Bank cash-in moment. So, but WWE Unreal's been great. I loved listening to John Cena explain the whole pivot from the heel turn. I really enjoyed that and his views, and hearing everyone say such incredible things about him that you just know he loves this shit so much that he wanted to go on his way, and he's a man of his word. I don't think we're ever going to see John Cena wrestle ever again. He's done. His explanation of how he was a heel and how he was going to work and have it be a very slow match, very methodical. That's great during the territory days, and I mean that just shows you how much of a ball knower John Cena is. And now, but the point is that it's not gonna make the fans invested now. The times have changed. The times have changed very much, where it sucks and he's gonna get booed as a heel, but it's gonna give you some go home heat or turn the channel off heat. Just so it's did not work. And then the inclusion of Travis Scott, you could tell immediately that this was not their plan and that they were picking up the pieces of a problem that they didn't cause. And they did a good job of it. We did get some great matches out of John Cena. We pivoted and we got AJ Styles, John Cena, which to this day is one of my favorite matches. It's on the list. And the other stuff that goes with the other stories in WWE, unreal. I've only watched 2 episodes so far. That's all I could watch before I fell asleep. Falling asleep is a real big issue with me now because your boy gets up so early in the morning that you're going to need a nap around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You're going to need it. You're going to need that more than food sometimes. Anyways, all right. I'm trying to find some more things to talk about, more talking points. But my internet is being silly. It is being silly willy. Forbes wrote an article about it. That's pretty cool. Oh, that was the thing. John Cena winning the IC title. I loved the inclusion of everyone in the Judgment Day for his match against Dom Mysterio at Survivor Series. I loved that because it makes sense. You can really tell that John Cena really, even if it's very small and minute, he pays attention to that detail and he really knows how to work a crowd, and he's so smooth because he, it's so kind of everything. It's great. But that was more Cena. I'm trying to find something else that I watched that was not John Cena. But a majority of this was John Cena. And the Seth Rollins injury too, after he goes for the diving headbutt for some reason against Cody Rhodes, and how much Seth means to Braun Breaker was something I did not expect. Obviously, I knew that he was taking him under his wing and they were close because they're in a faction together, and I understand how things work in the business. But I did not know that Braun Breaker idolized him, that much, viewing him as the greatest professional wrestler on the planet. Things like that was cool. And to watch a vision moment happen, or a spot that they're setting up and rehearsing it backstage, that was cool to see and find out how they do it, how they put it all together. It's not going to cause me to stop watching it. It's only going to make me more invested. So I loved it. I can't wait to watch the final. I think I watched 2, so there's 5 episodes, so 3 more episodes left. I will be watching that on my day off, which is coming up soon. 2 more days of work, baby. That's all we got. And then we can watch wrestling. Yeah. Anyway, there was another thing I watched this week that I implore everybody to go and watch. If you have ever heard of Vice TV, you know where I'm going with this. Dark Side of the Ring is one of the best docuseries out there when it comes to wrestling. it tells the stories of wrestling tales that are kind of taboo, the bad stuff of wrestling. They covered the Eddie Guerrero death, okay, and the redacted person's death as well. They covered that story. They did Bash at the Beach when Jeff Jarrett laid down for Hogan, and then Hogan goes off on Russo. Russo goes off on Hogan, pretty much imploding WCW in that moment. They do that, but this new season, they started out with the rise and fall of Jeff Jarrett's TNA, or just TNA in general, the whole story of it. I loved it, every minute of it. I grew up watching TNA late at night at Spike TV in the summer when I could sleep on the floor in my living room and stay up till God knows what hour of the night watching Spike TV and TNA. And on nights when it was a school year, during the school year, I would DVR record TNA on Spike TV and then wake up early on Friday mornings and then watch it before school because it was the coolest thing. I loved it. So I was emotionally invested in this, and I have to say that the phrase "don't judge a book by its cover" could not have rang more true, because I always viewed Jeff Jarrett as an asshole and a jerk who hard to work with, very selfish, yada yada. And then you watch this story and you realize how far from the truth that is. Where I didn't know he was married before. It's revealed in the documentary that he was married before and his wife passed away due to breast cancer. And he started dating Karen Angle while her and Kurt were separated. They were pretty much on the verge of being divorced, where I thought that he took her from Kurt, similar to Matt Hardy Edge and Lita. I thought that was a similar thing, but it's not. And the documentary makes that very, very clear. And I didn't know that he was going through his, tough time with the deaths. And I also didn't know how close him and Owen were. That was interesting to learn. And on top of that, just Dixie Carter, man. I stopped watching wrestling as a whole around when Hulk Hogan purchased TNA. I only remember TNA in a 6-sided ring before jumping back into it. So I was out by then, and wow, I heard stories before, but I didn't think it was that bad. Dixie Carter was she was the best and worst thing that could have ever happened to TNA. Best because her and her family kept them afloat, but worse because she wanted too much of the fame. She wanted to be in power and had no business of being in power. And when they cut to or discuss in the documentary episode the meeting that she had for all talent, that this is our brand, and if you don't like it, the door's over there. She said it a lot worse than I did, and then aired it for the audience. It was like, just shit like that was bad, real bad. But yeah, it was awesome. So go check that out. And then the one I watched last night, which I really want to discuss, is Samoa Joe versus Necro Butcher. I had zero idea who Necro Butcher was. I always saw him in the wrestling compilations or, highlight reels, whatever you want to call it, on TikTok and YouTube. I never knew who he was. And when this episode was announced, I'm like, why does this matter? I don't get it. Because I was mainly a WWE guy. I only really watched what was on television. I didn't go to independent shows. Now that I am, I'm grateful for it. because you're exposed to a whole different side of wrestling. And that's what this is. It's a whole different side of wrestling where it's brutal. You know, that early 2000s deathmatch style that's not for everybody. It's looked down upon for being carny. This guy Necro Butcher made a career out of it because he never got up, and he built his reputation as the toughest motherfucker on the planet. Everyone wants to see him versus Samoa Joe on the message boards. They don't want Ring of Honor fans don't want to see it because they think that's beneath him. And then Necro Butcher roughs up a couple ROH students, and allegedly that pissed off Joe. I'm not going to spoil it. Go watch it. If it did or didn't, you got to find out. And that set up the match at the original ECW arena. And holy shit, what a venue for it. You know, it's like all the stars are lining up for this one historic moment. That's what it was, historic. And the beginning of the fight, Samoa Joe throws the referee over the top rope. So it's going to be a brawl. And the bumps included a power bomb on a guardrail, like propped up in the corner. We had what was supposed to be a scoop slam, like a running slam, power slam, that turned into basically an STO as Samoa Joe face planted Necro Butcher into the ground. That was one. He dove out of the ring at Necro Butcher, Samoa Joe, and not like broke his nose, kicked him, broke his nose. Like, it was just brutal moves that were happening. So, I mean, go check it out. It was awesome. And the next week, is about Big Boss Man. So I'm pumped to see that. I want to watch the Big Boss Man episode. Because I really only watched him when he was in the all black, stereotypical prison guard attire, and he was stealing the Big Show's dead father from him. So I want to see what was the man before that? You know, what was the man before that? What else do we have? We're gonna do AEW Redemption predictions before we get out of here. All right. Let me get the card up. I wonder if Big Boom AJ is making it on the pre-show card. I friggin' hope so. That'd be sweet. All right. All right, we're going to Yahoo. Yahoo. All right, so we have Hikaru Shida versus Maya World for the TBS Championship. I am going with... Wow, this is right? Boys. Yeah, I'm going with Hikaru Shida. All right, I'm going to write these down. You always got to write down your predictions because you never know who's going to ask for them. And you never know when you need them. All right. So I'm going with Hikaru Shida. Let me see. Predictions. Okay, it's only me. So, all right. Hikaru Shida over Maya World. I feel we're gonna have a little bit of a heel type of run with Hikaru Shida. With this candlestick, I think she's gonna beat up everybody. All right, Tommaso Ciampa versus Jericho, aka the Painmaker. No holds barred. It's gonna be like a no holds barred Extreme Rules type of match. And I'm gonna go Jericho. I think Jericho goes over. I don't know if we're gonna have Jericho lose at the pay-per-view. That's why Ciampa won. So I'm predicting Tommaso Ciampa there. AEW Women's World Championship, Tekla versus Willow Nightingale. As much as I do love the Toxic Spider, I have a feeling that AEW is going to want to run Mercedes versus Willow at All In, this is your ticket to do so. I am going to go with my fandom here, fandom with a little bit of knowledge, however you want to call it, and have Willow Nightingale go over against Tekla. Next up is Kenny Omega versus Kevin Knight for the AEW World Championship. I'm not going to entertain you with a reason why I think this is happening. All I will say is I see Kevin Knight losing where he is expecting the Don Callis family to bail him out, and they're going to be nowhere to be found. It will cause a rift between the family backstage, and Kyle Fletcher and Kevin Knight are going to be pissed at each other. That's all the matches? No way. There's got to be more matches. It's an AEW pay-per-view. What are we talking about? Oh, all right. Yeah, here we go. All right, I thought so. See, it's all about the links you click. Some of them aren't the best. Yeah, all right, so I knew this. All right, so the next match that we got up, number one contender to determine a match to determine who the number one contender will be for the AEW International Championship. Jack Perry, Beast Mortis, Commander, Speedball Mike Bailey, and two more to be announced later. I'm going to go... I think Jack Perry. I'm going to go Jack Perry. Why? Here's why. Jack Perry just re-signed with AEW. They're going to want to put a belt on him. And I think the way you do this is you have him go up against Takeshita. And I would be entertained by that. Next up, Bang Bang Gang versus the Dogs in a double chain match. It's going to slap. I got the Bang Bang Gang. No. It's not the Dogs. You got to have the good guys go over. Guns up. John Moxley and Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks. I'm going... I'm going to go Death Riders of Ospreay and Mox because I'm a fan of the Death Riders, and the Death Riders should always win. Cope and Cage versus the actual members of the Death Riders. I'm assuming it's... Who is it? Claudio and Pac. Okay. All right. I like that. But I got Cope and Cage. Yeah, you're going to have Cope and Cage at the pay-per-view defending against either the New Dia, the New Day, or Motor City Machine Guns. So, yeah, you are. It's going to happen. Mark Davis versus Andrade El Idolo for the national championship. I'm picking Andrade. How do I know? How you know? It's the best. Funniest catchphrase right now. Kyle Fletcher versus Bandito for the international championship. Didn't I just... No. I got it wrong. I'm going with... Well, see, now I see this, and now I want to switch a little bit, because maybe you have, the Beast. No, but Bandito Jack Perry would slap. I'm going Kyle Fletcher. I'm the one Don Callis family member has to win. And it makes the most sense for Kyle Fletcher, too. Okay. I said Will and I go, and that's it. All right, so we did all of our pay-per-view predictions. Let me know what you think. Speakpipe.com/official house show to give me your predictions or thoughts on AEW as well. And that's all I got for you guys as I go to the bedroom in the house to get up early to go sell those fish and talk wrestling with the peeps. Thank you all for stopping by the house. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube and bell notification to know every time that we post a new episode or new content. And if you don't watch on YouTube, you prefer listening on one of your podcasting apps, we're on there as well. Apple and Spotify. Leave your 5-star rating and review. If you leave a review, we will read it. We will read it. So go read it. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And then follow the house show on all social media platforms. Official house show on Instagram and TikTok. And then Real House Show on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at Patty Pitts, PDDYPITTS, and follow Underground Industries at Underground Industries on Twitter. And that's all I got. Thank you all for tuning in. God bless. Remember, you can do it. All I gotta do is try. Peace.